Hello, hello. I think everything is now working. Yes, we are alive. Hello, guys. How are you doing? Let me just make sure I can see my microphone levels. If someone on the chat could confirm that everything is working on their end, that'd be brilliant. I'm resizing my chat box window so you could see your chat comments as well on the screen. I hope that works. At least that's the plan. So if someone can just say something, that'd be great. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna obviously continue where we left off, and if you join us just now, we're gonna have a small catch up to see what we're doing. But basically, on my mobile phone, I had in some sections, so like some updates, and the updates were the following. If I went to a clock and go to my options to set alarm in settings, I could set a weather alarm. Now that weather alarm wasn't particularly telling, so I know it had something to do with the weather, but it wasn't really describing anything. But it gave me an idea. Now, in theory, that weather alarm, what it does, it checks the weather and then plays different sounds in the morning to wake you up based on the weather conditions outside. But since you cannot control the sounds and you cannot pick what you want, I thought we might be using Tasker to do it. So in short, that's what we are going to do. And in the last live stream, if you haven't seen it, we did some of it and we got also stuck on a couple of things. So what we got working, we were able to get weather from Weather API, as you can see on the screen. So that part was working. We were also able to get alarm. We're gonna go in the details about it. And where we stuck on was to actually set the ringtone, where I couldn't quite get the idea how to do it. I figured out how to get the information that I need, and I'm gonna be talking about one of the awesome things that I discovered in the process, thanks to João Diaz, who, as usual, advised me and put me on the right track. So big thanks to him. Hello, Thomas. How are you doing? Hopefully you have a nice evening. So we're gonna continue, and I have very high hopes that we're actually going to finish this time around. So that's the plan. Okay. So previously we were using Weather API. So Weather API, if you want to get a weather on your Tasker, you can go to Weather, open Weather, and you can use the API to download current weather. Now the forecast in a free plan, that was one of the forecasts for 4 days. This is this one, hourly forecast, and that's what we've been using with the HTTP request get. We had some problems with my API account not being set correctly for the API data I wanted to do, but we figured out what was wrong, and we are able to set current weather, which is this action here, to my weather conditions for the next 4 days. But obviously we don't want the weather conditions for the next 4 days. We want to have weather conditions for the day just before the alarm. Now Tasker already have ability to discover next alarm, and providing you going to go to Tasker preferences and disable reliable alarms. Reliable alarms works this way, that Tasker continuously set a target alarm and counts down to it, so you could have a working reference of time. And in order to query a real alarm rather than Tasker alarm, what we have to do is disable reliable alarms for a couple of moments, then query the alarms and enable it again. So that's basically what happens, and then we set up our variable next alarm to alarm in milliseconds. Now we divided by 1000 to get alarm in seconds, which is a time stamp that is available to us in the weather data. That is important because what we're doing is actually browsing through that entire data information from Weather API and looking for similar timestamp. What we want to find a timestamp. So it's in here. So what we established doing last time, we were trying to get that next time, that's our alarm, and match it against the list of forecast for the next couple of days. Once we found the current correct time frame with the correct forecast, we want to extract that information and we want to use that information to influence our alarm and assign a different ringtone. I'll also show you how to compose the ringtones. We're gonna be making simple effects where we're gonna play some rain if it's rainy, and then blend that rain into our alarm tune, and if it's windy, then we're gonna blend some wind sounds into the alarm tone, so that way when you're waking up and you hear the rain, then you know exactly what it's like outside. I struggle with Zigbee to MQTT. Well, if you have any problems, just type a question. I'll be happy to take a look and quickly answer you here on chat, or maybe later on. So, where I was stuck last time, it was trying to, we had 3 hours window. Let me bring out the payload we're getting from OpenWeather, right? So let me open this. Do I still have it somewhere here? Yes, I do. So that was a payload last time. Can I zoom? I can zoom in. So the payload would consist the date of the query, right? So this is for that time, and that time in particular, if you read it in a human term, it was for the 21st of January at 9 p.m. So if I had a alarm set anywhere after that, between 9 p.m. and midnight, because we have 3 hour slots, this is where I would like to do. So in my script, I wanted to get my time, which we already got from my next alarm, so that was the next alarm time, and I want to match it against DT, and I want to find the instance that is bigger than my alarm. Oh, now I can, let me resize this like this, and maybe a little bit taller, so the comments are nice. Oh, okay, that should work nicely now. Okay. Have another son of Zigbee bridge connected to Zigbee to Home Assistant. Okay. So, so the pattern was that we aiming to find the next time that is bigger than our alarm, and that way we can go backwards 1. So we know we have 3 hour slots. So if my alarm is set for 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Then if I find the weather window between 6 and 9, I want that weather window. And in order to find this, we need to aim for 9 o'clock and then go back 1. That's how you find it, because obviously you're gonna have several different weather forecasts at 6 and 3 at midnight that are smaller than the alarm time we have, but only one, the first one, that's going to be bigger than. So that's how we're going to hone on this. And previously I was trying to use a bit of a JavaScript, which you can use some properties of a JavaScript to search. There's a function that you can search through object and through key and value pairs, and figure out which object that you want to use. But that wasn't working very well until I spoke to Zhao, and he said like this: when you have object, which is in here, right, and those objects are now mapped in Tasker, so Tasker understands JSON and is able to extract some of the information. And I wasn't aware of this, and this is pretty cool, and this is big. That's if you I'm probably gonna need a new thing to explain it, so let me get a new. If we have an array usually is stored in these brackets, right? We have one value, they separated by comma, right? Second value, third value, and so on. These usually wouldn't be accessible in a normal way in JavaScript. What Tasker does, if you have a complex value, where your JSON is a little bit more complex, so your complex value would look like this. It's just going to be for reference. So you have an array of elements that have a complex build. So you have a value, and you have maybe, let's say, data. Okay? So you have a one like this. And I'm just going to copy, and I'm going to copy. And that's going to be 2, that's going to be 3, that's going to be 3, and that's going to be 2. So when you have an object like this, which is also an array, so we have 3 sets in here, right? You can access it in in Tasker by dot notation. So if I want to access the first element in my array, so let's say this is my array. If I want to access whatever value is here, I can use the dot notation that this is my first element, so it would be something like this, right? First element dot value. I have access whatever is here. If I wanted to access whatever is in this, that would be data. If I wanted to access in a second element, so this is my second element, and it's also named val2, then I would go to the second element, and I would say, let's say, go data2. So that I would access in here. And this is how you also access stuff in JavaScript. However, in Tasker, what you can do, you can get all those elements extracted from this array, because they're gonna have the same structure. So you can only do it for the elements that are repetitive. So you can't mix and match these, but this value, it's going to be obviously val, right? So we have a val here, and val here. You can extract them and create temporary array of just these elements, nothing else. They will ignore the data in here, and you can achieve this by doing this, like that. And that's it. That's your array. It's going to have all the elements that corresponding to value. And this is brilliant because it helps us a lot, and that's exactly what I did. So previously I had this JavaScriptlet that was trying to go and find in here, I can't grab it for some reason. Go and find here elements in my weather. So I wanted to open every single payload I had with the weather, every single forecast every 3 hours, and look at this value dt and compare this value with my alarm. So that was this function was doing. But that wasn't working. That didn't work for some reason. We're not going to investigate it because we have much better options right now. So we can discard this because that was a not best way to do it. Now that I know, I can create an array which contains all the timestamp information from entire forecast. Do I have entire forecast in here? Yeah, I have. So see this in here. This is the entire forecast that we've been given, and every time we have a new forecast, it starts with this. So this is the time for 22nd at 9 p.m. and the next one, this is the time it's going to be at midnight, right? Yeah, see, this is the midnight, etc. So this array, this list dt, the one that we have in here, it creates an array of these. So we have like, it creates this. So we have my new array will have this, then it will have we'll have the next one, right, which is this one, and so on and so on. Now having this allows us to check our value with a simple for loop. So in a for loop here, we will get the first element of that. So we're gonna have this value here. So that's list.dt. So this is our dt. We store this array in list, right? So you're gonna get the first element. We're going to set it as our value, right, in here. And then we're gonna compare this value against my if condition. So now if value that I've set, so in this case one of those numbers, gonna be bigger than my next alarm, so that value happens after my alarm, then this is the next forecast after the alarm, right? We want to find that next forecast after the alarm, so we could go back 3 hours and grab the previous one. There is no ways, there is no other way for us to know which one is the correct time span unless we're gonna take the one that is the first one after, and then we can compare it with the one before. Because if we're gonna check if our alarm is bigger than our forecast, we're gonna end up with possibly a couple of them, right? And we only want to one window. So this is exactly what we're doing. So now that now that we know it, we need to have the ability to count this. So prior to my loop in here, I've set myself a counter. We're gonna start counting, right? We're gonna start counting at 0 because in theory, task variables start with 1. I'm used to 0, and that will save us some maths. I'm gonna explain that. So what we have in here, we're gonna start a counter. The minute we're gonna start comparing our variables, so our alarm to first value, our alarm to second value, we're gonna start counting how many times we did that, and that will tell us which element in our array it was, whether it was a second element, it was a third element, fourth, and so on. That way we can just simply go back. Now, because the count starts in Tasker from 1, when you have first element is number 1, then second element is number 2, it's quite easy to follow. In JavaScript it's slightly different. When you have first element of the array, of most of the languages programming, the first element is 0. So we would have to adjust this. But because we're using Tasker, I started with 0 instead of 1, then later on I don't have to do that -1 to go to the previous one. So you can either start in here with a 0, or if you start with a 1 in a counter to set to 0, so you set it to 1, then in index equals to counter, you'd have to remove that one that you added. So that way, as we're going through these values, we basically, the moment we've, can I open this? Yes. So the moment we find what we need, so the value that is bigger than our alarm, then we want to save this value. And I'm gonna create a variable index and dump the value of my counter. Counter by that time might be 7, 20, or whatever we want it, right? And that, when we have this first value, when the instance is bigger, we save this and we exit. We're not checking anymore. We for sure know that's going to be more values like this, but we just want to stop. I found the first instance, that's all I'm interested. So we exit it from here and we jump into end loop. If we didn't find the value, we're still iterating. So we're going through first value, there's nothing. Second value is still not matching our condition. Then every time we're going through the loop, we want to iterate and add 1 to our counter so we could keep track of it. So that is the plan. So now that once we go through entire array, we want to then obviously assign a forecast. And our forecast in this case, like I've explained in here, how you access the data, right? You are accessing the current weather list, because this is in our list in here, you'll see that our forecast for current weather for a couple of days is in a list. And that list is an array, which you can indicate with brackets. You put the index in there, and then you add the weather, because we're interested in a weather section. We want to get these ones, or if you want, you can get main conditions. It depends what you want to do, really. Now, if we're gonna base our alarm on weather conditions, so for example, this main weather event will tell me that it's raining, or it's sunny, or it's windy, or you can look it up exactly what it tells you in an API documentation on the open weather. Then we'll be accessing the weather.main. If you want to base that on temperature, so for example, let's say you want to base that on the temperature, then and you want to play some, I don't know, frosty effects before your alarm on the day that is frosty, and you know you might need to defrost your car, then you would have to access the weather.main.temperature and build your conditions based on that. For now, I'm just going to do with the weather, and you can pick whatever you want. So we have this sorted. So let's see it in action, right? Let's get fresh data. Now, my next alarm is set. This is the first task that I need to run. My next alarm is set for Monday at 7. So if I'm going to run this, it'll do its own thing. We'll wait 4 seconds. It'll query the alarm and reset everything. Now you can see that alarm has been stored in here, so I can access it. My next alarm is right now here. It's nicely stored. Now let's get fresh weather conditions, right? So we did the API and everything, and we can get all of that information stored. So let's do that. Grab the weather. This is the new weather for the next 4 days, and it's stored nicely in right now in our variable, which is current weather. That's the forecast for 4 days. We can copy this and set it in here. Can I just copy that, I guess? No, I'm not enabled to copy it this way. Okay, we'll leave it for now. So now that we have this, we can check our set ringtone action, right? So we're gonna be again going to get that list, only list of events, and in the list we're gonna be doing all that for loop that we were talking about earlier, and then we're gonna set that as our current forecast for that time. So in my time, the alarm is set for 7 o'clock on Monday, so it's gonna be alarm set from Monday. Let's check if it works. Okay, this is the 20th instance of the weather. So it went through 19 conditions and picked the 20th condition, 20th 3-hour window, and saved it as my forecast. So let's have a look. So this is my forecast in here. You can see at the bottom section here that the text right now, the date is 31st of January at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's precisely what we want. We want that alarm to, that information, weather information, to be at that time for 7 o'clock weather, because we have 3-hour window for the weather. So the weather forecast is from 6 to 9. So now, whatever alarm we want to set, it's going to be based on that payload from here. Now, if you have any questions or would you like me to go through anything at this point, to just type it in the chat and I'll go back to it. Other than that, I'll just show you how to create ringtones. Earlier on, I've prepared some ringtones. So if I just gonna go and open audio here. Well, I didn't prepare them, I prepared the files. So I have a ringtone, I have some birds, rain and thunder, and I don't need this one, and I don't need this one. So I have the ringtone that we're gonna be using, and we're gonna have a birds, and we have rain and thunder. So let's merge it. You can use various tools. You can use, I don't know, Audacity is free, whatever music blending stuff you got. I'm just gonna go really quick with Premiere Pro because it's gonna be the quickest way. I'll mix them up. So I'm just opening new project. I'll show you the window in a second. Come on. Just waiting for this to be created. One sec. So I have this here. I'm just gonna drop my files and quickly edit the audio out. So what you want to do really is drop in your main tune. So this is my alarm. Just kind of like a plain music, okay? This is nothing really exciting. I'm just gonna make this a little bit better. You can see it here. Now I just want to start this. If it's a nice weather, I'm gonna have also bird sound. So this is how birds sound. So I'd imagine if there is a nice weather, sunny sky, it's summer, and whenever it says like, oh, it's 18 degrees outside and it's beautiful sunshine, I want my alarm to start this. And then go to this. So that way, the alarm will have this for, I don't know, 5 seconds or something like that, maybe 10, it's up to you. And then it will blend into my main tune. Okay, let's quickly blend it. So the way you can do it, it's, like I said, the easiest way is you just do sound. So you ramp up the sound. Where are my effects? Effects controls. And we are on the alarm, so let's create a level here, and let's create a level at the beginning. Now I can just dip it down, stretch it so it ramps up slowly, and I'll do a very similar at the end of here to end the blend. So I'm gonna key point here, key point there, and I'm just gonna adjust them manually and do like a very long trail off, and they're gonna be blending somewhere here. So my weather is gonna sound like this. Okay, I'm happy with that. It's enough. It's good enough for the test, right? You get the point. So let's quickly save this as. Let's export this, and I'm just gonna export it as a good weather. So is it clear sky? Clear sky alarm. Okay, and that's gonna be just a MP3 export audio, and I need to select MP3. Clear sky, export audio. Yeah, happy, export. Done. Now I'm gonna do exactly the same with my other conditions. So I can decide mute this track, drop another one, rain and thunder, drop it below. I can copy and paste attributes. So we'll copy exactly the same profile, paste attributes. Yes, I want volume remapping. And now you see I have exactly the same profile in here. Maybe I'll delay this slightly because there's a tangler here. Yeah, great, I'm happy with this. I'm just going to quickly save it. So that's MP3, we're gonna rename it. We're gonna rename it as rain. Okay, so then this is the way I would do my ringtones. Now that we have them, I'm gonna put them on the mobile phone, right? And we're gonna I'm gonna show you how to use Tasker to get these selected when the alarm is due. Cheers, by the way. This is a nice, lovely rum and coke. So, since I need to copy this, I'm just going to quickly use join to send the files over. Yeah, B11. Yes, we want this one, and we want this one to be sent. Oops. Come back here. Alright. Yes. That's fine. They are already saved on my drive. So let's go to my drive. Solid Explorer. And we have them in probably join folder, right? So let's move them out. Clear sky and rain and thunder. I'm just gonna copy them and get them into maybe ringtones. There was a folder in there, right? Ringtones. Let's paste them here. Did I copy the... I copied the wrong thing. Ah, damn it. Old. It's fine. Okay. I'm just gonna copy the second one. We wanted rain alarm. That's what we wanted. Just gonna send that over. Yeah, good. Got it here. Let's go to... trying to go manually. Join. Files. Rain alarm. That's what we wanted. I cut this. Ringtones. And paste. So now that we have alarms, how does it work? We're gonna make our default alarm. Let's make a default alarm set to, I don't know, let's say clear sky. Let's make a folder first. Let's make a new folder. Let's call it weather alarm sounds. Weather alarm sounds. Okay, and I'm just going to copy rain alarm and clear sky alarm in there. Or paste it. Now I'm doing this because in here, in the main folder, we're going to have a default file. This file we're going to be replacing every time. So the way it works is you go to your clock alarm setting app and you select yourself a ringtone. You select this ringtone, we're never gonna touch this. This uses a file as a reference, so it has a path stored in there, and every time there is a ringtone to play, it will go look up this file and start playing it. Now, we're going to be very clever about it, and every time there is a change of weather, we're going to get the file we want, copy it, and rename it to that file, so it plays a different file, and Tasker can do it. So hopefully that's going to work for us. So let's give it a go, right? We're going to create like a default. This one doesn't have any, this is just the default one, it doesn't have anything. So let's call it alarm ringtone. Default alarm. Okay, yeah. And let's go to my clock alarm app. It can be any, it should work with any because of it. I should be able to choose local ringtone. File manager, thank you. And I want to go to my, do I have a ringtones? No, here, I need to go to my external memory, to my ringtones, and I'm gonna select my default alarm. So this is the one. Yeah, there's no sound effects of the weather in here. I'm happy with it, so I'm just gonna back up. So now, when the alarm sounds, that's gonna be my alarm. And it's time to do some Tasker magic. Now, if you're clever and you want to make your life easier, you're gonna go first and look up in here. And in here you have the weather information and weather effects. So instead of showing this on a Tasker screen, I can show you that in here because we have. So when you have a weather.main event which has a name. Now, you have two approaches. You can use actually this as a file name. You can be very lazy in here. Instead of using regex patterns and matching, and you can just simply, as long as you stick to the naming conventions, you can make if weather alarm sound match anything that I have in this file, set it as such. Otherwise, play the default. That way, if you ever happens like thunderstorm with big balls of fire and you don't have a sound for this, you'll just play the normal alarm sound and it's not going to screw you over in the morning. So let's have a look. In order to do it, we will I need to show you one more thing, right, which is where to find those events. If you go to, I believe in API docs, you'll go list of conditions and codes. That should give you information about all possible combinations. Let's have a look. There was a limitations of formats. No, that's a format of results. Let's have a look. Max means weather conditions codes here. So you see main and description, and that will give you, that's what we can call it, our stuff like that. So we have an icon list and we have weather condition codes. So there's a main and there's our description. So as you remember, we had it in here, we had the main and we had the description. So if main is clear, we're probably gonna have, let's go to clear, we have a clear, and the description's clear sky. That matches my thing, right? So now if I jump into my file manager, right, I have my weather sounds. You remember that clear sky one? If I just rename this to clear, it's spelled with capital C, so let's keep it this way as well. I will be able to use this to, you know, as is. I don't have to do anything else. As long as I follow this table in here, then I can play clouds when it's cloudy. And so let's check what is the weather condition like when I'm supposed to get up on Monday. All right, so what we're playing against. my forecast says that it's going to be clouds. So I know it's maybe not the perfect music for this, but rain alarm, I'm just going to call clouds instead. Okay, so now I want Tasker to grab this file, copy it to this directory and rename it and replace default alarm. I should be able to rename it and replace, otherwise I'll delete or move this one here and replace. So we'll see which options are working best for us. So let's create a separate task. We're gonna set the ringtone. I'm gonna have a subtask that's gonna manage it. So replace, ringtone. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna play with files. There's a file, and so we have options in here, right? We have browse files, copy directory, copy file. That's what we probably want. Delete file. That's possibly what we want. And anything else? Write file. No. So what we're gonna do first, we'll see if we're gonna replace it. So let's go with copy file. Where are we copying from? It's from our weather condition. So we're gonna go to ringtones, weather alarm sounds, and we're gonna select one for now. What was it? Clouds. But we're gonna replace this with our variable. And our variable, remember, we were storing this in forecast. And then it was, if we look it up in our cheat sheet in here, we had a forecast.weather dot main. Okay, and we will be copying this file to same location, which is ringtones, but here. Now the question is, can I replace the file with this? Let's have a look. To specify existing file will be overwritten, and that's what we want. We want to overwrite this file. So before we're gonna overwrite this file, we're gonna make a copy of it, right? So that's fine. Let's stay for that. Let's grab and make a copy of this file so we have it. Default alarm, copy, and paste. So now we have also a way to restore it. So let's jump back to the task. So we have replace tone, and we are replacing a file which is called, where's my super extra slash? Did we name it default alarm? Default alarm. That's what we're gonna replace when we want to replace it, okay? So now, if everything went okay, if I do this, it should replace the alarm with the one that had, we have clouds, so the one that has the sounds of thunder and rain. Should we test it out, right? Let's save this setting, test it out, and then I'll go open my alarm app and play the default alarm. Okay, we had a problem. Did I not specify correctly the path? In here, I know what happened. So basically, I need a way to, I need to set another variable. So let's put another variable here. Variable set, so file name, and then we're gonna do our forecast Could I do it with plus? Out of interest, let's see if I can do it with plus. No, in here I won't. That's fine. Then I need to create one. File name, and we're gonna send to forecast. Forecast dot weather dot main, and then plus mp3. Okay, so that should give me correct file name. Alert flash file name. Let's have a look. It didn't like this notation. Why didn't like this notation? I'm missing something. I have a forecast structure output. It's outputted. Are we missing something in a variable? No, it looks like forecast is a. Here we have a weather at the end. Why we have a weather at the end? Did I do a bad copy, or this is something that got appended? Let's quick have a look, because that was what destroyed us. That's what I wanted. Okay, that's the only thing I wanted, so I just need to rerun this. I didn't need that weather at the end. I think earlier on I was trying to use this. So now forecast have no problems. Replace Ringtone, clouds plus mp3. Can I? Okay, that didn't work. Like this, I'm gonna have a space, isn't it? It's append. How can I add this without, because if I gonna just, I want to create a file. Anyone? Because this one's gonna give me a space. I can add the space in the naming convention, that's not a problem, but see, you have a space in here at the bottom. But I'm sure there is a, alright Thomas, good night. So if I'm gonna update this, with a, how do I get rid of that space? I remember I was doing this in the past, but because if I'm gonna do this, I don't think it's gonna figure out what I want to do. Yeah, because it doesn't exist. It thinks it's a notation. I thought I could do it with a plus, but if I do with a plus, it just doesn't want to do what I want. Does anyone remember how to do it? Do I have to Google it? Let's have a look. So the string and make a sequence of text, otherwise will match unexpected times. Okay, you're right. The easiest workout is just to have a space. It's fine. Fine. Okay, I'm good with this. All I had to do is just to go back in here, jump in here, and rename this with the spaces. I mean, it's not really nice, but it will work. Right, so let's quickly do this. There. Happy, great. So now when we're gonna be replacing it, we should be able to replace default alarm like this, right? Let's go to Tasker and let's do replace. and let's do ringtone's default alarm, and in here we need to do file name. Okay. Yeah, clouds.mp3, so that should be replaced now. We're gonna go to my Solid Explorer, ringtones, refresh this. So this should have right now yeah. So now, because it's gonna be, if I go to my alarm app, default alarm, right? Default alarm. No. That didn't update, it cached the details. Okay, alright. There is a way to do it. Like if I gonna, because that was open in the background. If I restart this, what happens? Because it cached my, I was expecting this, I might actually cache my result. It does caching. Ooh. Okay, so we have a small problem now. The substitution works, but the cached, so we would have to either find where it's caching it, or see if we can change the alarm. Tasker. Replace ringtone, and let's see if there is an alarm. Changing alarm, how to cancel alarm, show alarm, set alarm, next type, perform a task, gentle alarm, alarm volume. So with auto alarm probably I can, no, I can't. Sound settings, sound effects, sound settings, sound mode, music play. Okay, right, I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of digging and figure out where this alarm is stored, because it looks like this task is this ringtone is cached. So let's go to my Explorer and let's have a little browse. Do I have to be rooted for this? Ooh, that would kind of destroy our idea. In recent, what we have in the recent files. Okay, let's poke more about this. Storage. If I just clear cache, what's gonna happen? Wrong thing. Wanted clock. Okay. Okay, so the problem is that we have a cached result, which means the ringtone is being copied and stored somewhere, just in case you delete this and you end up with no alarm sound. So in order to bypass this, we need to find where it's stored. That won't tell me here. Something tells me I'll have to have a root for this, which is not ideal. Wanted to go settings again. Ringtones. That might be different for your app as well, so bear that in mind. Choose local. So that uses let's see, let's be quick. Tasker set hello Reddit. It's a very old. Okay, what settings we also have in the Tasker that would help us? Sound settings or system. Set alarm. We have our sound. Will that modify the default? New alarm is in default alarm clock application. When confirm is not checked, no user interaction will be required. Not in some devices settings alarm to close and current may result when set for the next day. Okay, so in theory, we could set a sound in here. So we could set alarm with a sound and then cancel it. Let's see if this works. So file name. I'm gonna copy that in a second. That's what we want. Paste. Why didn't like this location? Let's see. Ringtones. Default alarm. Okay, so by default I think it's there. So confirm if label. Okay, so right now, which is like a test, and then we will try to set this. Okay, so alarm has been set, and now let's see if my ringtone has changed. No. We still have a correct file, right? We've changed the file correctly. I've tested it. Let's double check if that's the case. But I'm pretty sure we've tested it and that was a success. Not recording ringtones. So that should be with the rain. Yeah. So the setting for that would be new alarm with new, let's see. So if I'm correct, I should have a midnight alarm in here, additional settings, default alarm ringtone. So that's not setting the alarm either. Okay, like the worst case scenario is the root, and then you have to get the cached file replaced, because I kind of hope that would work on a local location, but for some reason. Okay, let's see if we have any other alarm app. am I looking? Why am I looking not in apps? Can I like just go to apps here? Alarm app. Let's have a look what we can do. Let's simple clock from Google. Let's see if that's gonna do a difference with caching as well. Open. Okay. Bedtime. Screensaver settings. Home time zone, silence, snooze, gradually increase volume, start on Monday, timer, sound. Okay. Okay, don't want that. Add new. Ooh, add new is not a good thing because it sounds like it's gonna cache it. But we're going to give it a benefit of the doubt and we'll try it anyway, right? Maybe podcasts. But since we want to try it, we need to reverse our action. So let's reverse quickly our action. Go to ringtones, grab this one, default, copy and paste. Yes, new one. Okay, now we can apply the ringtone. Where's the ringtone? Ringtone, ringtones. And default alarm, this one. Okay, that's the alarm we want. Okay, happy. We are happy. The alarm is set. So now, if we're gonna do it in this app, will the same happen? What do you think, guys? Will the same will happen? So now, just cancel this for now. Yeah, we should be replacing this with our clouds, right? So let's have a look. That's been replaced. Yes, that's been replaced. And now, is Google caching it or not? Settings. Ah! So there you have it. There you have a success. Okay, so this is working. Great. So my app wasn't compatible with it because it was caching it. Which means, really, that you have a custom sound and you wipe off that custom sound, chances are, it should revert to default, but chances are you might not end up with no sound. So we have this working, so we're going to stick to it. And so this is to replace the ringtone. Now we need another, we can copy this, clone, and default ringtone, and default ringtones we're gonna be just copying. We don't need this, we don't need this, and we just need this to ringtones. Default alarm MP3. Okay. So that will restore our original, right? So right now, if I set my alarm clock, right, I have the alarm clock in here. We're going to go set the default timer, play the timer. Did I press that button? I don't think I have. I didn't reset it. So replace the ringtone. No, default ringtone. Let's do this. Great. Now, if I'm gonna go in here, I should have my default timer. And I do. Excellent. So now, I know that I want to run my task at, let's say, every night at midnight, right? So let's go with day, time, and we want to run it at midnight. So let's go like 12. Okay. Okay. And we want to run it. That will do every around midnight anyway, so I don't have to stop reminding. Okay. Now now we want this to do a couple of things, right? First, we want, let's create a new task. Process alarms. Okay, and in here we're gonna start with querying our API. So we have perform task, and we're gonna be performing a task which is called get weather. So we get weather information. That's gonna do our get weather. Cool. Now that's gonna get weather. Second task that we want is we want to check the next alarm. So let's add perform next alarm. So that will check when we have a next alarm set and prepare our weather. Weather alarm check. It's a lovely name. And we need to do another thing. We need to set the ringtone. Set the ringtone should do this. And now, remember that time when I said it's gonna set a default? We need to action this. So in here we're gonna add perform task, and we're gonna be replace ringtone action, because that's what we're gonna be doing. And in replace ringtone action, we need to have conditions, because what we want to do, we want to see if there is a file named correctly. I think there is an action for that. So let's take a look. We have files. There is a browse files, list files. List files. We can list files in our ringtone weather conditions. So ringtones, weather alarms, that's fine. And we want to match it against our weather. We have access to file name by that time? Yes, we do. So we can match it against our file name. And now, if matches specify all the file name which match that pattern are included. If the results are stored in a specified variable, the first file path is stored with var1, second var2. So we're only gonna have one result. So var1, it's not going to be populated. So now variable array match. Okay, so we need to run this first, and then we need to add the conditions. If match is set, that's match 1 to be precise, is set, then and if, come on, undo yourself. So if our match is set, we're gonna set the matching video, the matching audio sound. If otherwise, should else. Else, we just want to perform no, we're just gonna add as a second if, you know what, if match 1 isn't set, then we want to, and if, then we want to perform task, and we're gonna reset our default ringtone. Ta-da! And we're gonna need to put it here. Okay, so that way, let's try it. And according to this, we should have this one that shouldn't trigger, it should trigger this one, right? Didn't match. Okay, let's have a look why. Was default ringtone? No, process replace ringtone. We have no access to file name just yet, so we need to get this one here, and we need to get this one here, so we have access to file name, then it checks against the file name. And it found the clouds mp3, and it does the thing, replaces the. So now we pretty much have it done. So every time at midnight we're going to process our alarms, so we need to add perform task and replace ringtone. Done. So every midnight we're gonna get our weather, see the weather conditions for the next couple of days, perform check when is the next alarm, which gonna do that. Next, replace ringtone, which replace ringtone means that we're gonna be going through here and oh no, that's not replace, set ringtone tasks, sorry, apologies. So I need to edit this, process alarm, set ringtone, that's why I wanted to set ringtone. Okay, so that way, set ringtone, right, it's gonna go through all the weather, check for the when we have the corresponding forecast, set the index, and replace ringtone, which is gonna go here, gonna go replace ringtone, and it will replace the ringtone based on the forecast. So now, if I'm just going to OK this, I'm going to return tasker, go to my file manager. If I'm going to go here, restore my default. So if I'm just going to copy this, paste it here and replace it with a new file. If I play this, should be unmodified. And it is unmodified. So now we're gonna pretend it's midnight, right? We're gonna go back to tasker, pretend it's midnight, and we'll play all of these, and we should end up with my alarm having a sound of a clear sky. Okay, so now if I'm gonna go to my Solid Explorer and to my alarm, sorry, where's my clock from Google? If I'm gonna go to settings,
opening TikTok.
No, what do you mean? Go to my settings, and that should sound with now clouds, which is rain and thunder. Yes! And that's how you do it, guys. That's how you make it happen. So basically, now, whenever, all I have to do is just go through list of conditions on the weather conditions here. I'll give you a link on the chat. Hello, Matters. How are you doing? So now, if you name your files according to these, with a space after, remember about the space, then this profile, what it does, it will grab a corresponding MP3 file, providing you've prepared them like I did with Adobe Premiere or whatever's with your weather effect. So whether it's a rainy one or you want to have it for clear sky, then should we find, actually let's test it the clear sky, right? So what we need to do, we need to go to my template where we have everything stored. So we need to share my let me quickly jump to join, make sure the join shares the clipboard. Join, settings, clipboard, auto send clipboard, desktop. I should have this all set up. Don't know why I didn't. So now let me copy the latest data, which I have it in here, not forecast, here. Copy. Now let's find clear. So how many occurrences do we have? Count. 2 matches. Okay, so if I'm gonna set my alarm for tomorrow, at anywhere between 6 o'clock and 9, I should have a ringtone starting with birds. So let's try this. So I need to go to clock up, right? Where's the clock up? Here. Okay, let's add alarm. No, the alarm. Let's add alarm here, and we need to set it for 6 and 9. So let's go for 7 p.m. right? So 19. Let's go 19:30. So that's going to be in 22 hours and 19 minutes, right? Now, obviously at midnight, my task will run. So right now, if I go to settings and play my default tune, it's gonna be the one with thunder. So this is the one with thunder, right? So I've set the alarm clock. Now at midnight, my task's gonna run. And it's gonna process alarms, right? So when I press this, it will do its own thing, and when it finishes, I should have the sound with birds. Should we check it? So let's have a look. I'm going to go to my clock, timer sound alarm. Let's restart the app just to make sure. Did I click on correct? Yeah, I did click on correct. That's here. Settings. It didn't store this time. Why it didn't store? What happened? Did it set the app? Let's see. That's the troubleshooting part. We're gonna poke the holes. So right now it should have the birds. No. So we had a problem. We have a problem with Tasker somewhere. Let's investigate what went wrong in Tasker. So our variable forecast, it still said clouds. Is it for correct time? 22:01:29 midnight. That's not the one we wanted. We wanted to have a one before. Our alarm is set for tomorrow, right? 29 at 7. Why we have this? We have a completely different weather forecast. We had a time difference. Something tells me I'm not taking a time difference in consideration right now. What is the time difference in here between my API and my clock? Because this did a midnight on the correct date. It played correct sound because it's clouds. So, and it did 3 hours later 4 hours later. So if I modified my alarm by 4 hours, it will prove that I'm correct. So let's go to alarm, modify by 4 hours earlier. So if I gonna set this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, I should have a clear weather. So let's go back to Tasker, profiles, process alarm, play. So according to this, I have a time difference to resolve. Still playing clouds in here. Forecast. And it's still the same time. So I have something broken in my search. Let's see, set ringtone. We were doing this. Let's see. It gives a first alarm. It shouldn't. It shouldn't give me the first alarm. It means that the time that we set, it's not correct. That was working before, so what? I've not changed anything. I wonder what's changed. It insists that we're looking at, do we have a value that isn't updated? So my next alarm I didn't update, so let's see what is my next alarm set to. So this is copy the value, copy, and let's investigate what is it setting it to. Time in seconds. Can I like converter? No, come on, can I have like a converter, please? Epoch converter, yay! To human date. Okay, so it's not setting my alarm correctly. So that is the problem. Okay. So let's investigate this. Get next alarm. What happened here? Did that do this correctly? This is the same time. What is my next alarm? Let's see. Do I have any other alarm that's kind of colliding with this? So these ones are far away, so we can dismiss them. Let's delete these alarms just to be sure. Delete. Okay. And let's check my other app. But it's not an active alarm, so it shouldn't really... Ah, I forgot. Remember Tasker that I was trying? We set this alarm. I completely forgot, which means it's working. Completely forgot I've set this task. Okay, so now that we have a correct alarm, so let's give it a go. So we have this alarm set for this time. We need to edit this back to 19:30. Yeah, okay. So now it was playing, it should be playing clear weather, right? So let's make it play clear weather thanks to my task. Profiles, process, and play. So because it's set to this time frame here, okay, it's a clear somewhere. There was a somewhere clear. I've scrolled it anyway. But it should play the bits. If we're gonna go in here, settings, display, silence, and no. Okay, let's see what was the weather like. What was the weather like? Forecast. We have a good time. Oh, it says clouds now. The weather has changed. There is a good time. There is, but the weather has changed. Let's see. Did I mess up something? Control F. Clear. Next count of clear. I think the weather has changed because I have all the weather now forecast. So let's copy this again. Copy current weather. Let's update it with find clear next. Okay, so next clear sky is here. And can I format this? Format JSON, show JSON, format JSON. No? Okay. Clear. Which was it? Was it this one? Clear clouds? Clear. Okay. And this is from 21 onwards. So I need to go. I think the weather has changed. We were unlucky. So I need to modify it to 21 onwards. Let's change our alarm. And 21:30. That is the one we want. Okay. Now, I know I said that many times, but now if we're gonna run it again, we should have a bird's alarm. It should flash on the tasker as well. 0. Ooh, it had a problem. Did we modify the second file name? Clear. That should be this. It didn't. There is a space in there, and something happened, and it couldn't find the file. Right. I see that wouldn't work. So what we're gonna have, like, if that is gonna be broken, what we're gonna end up with as a sound? Let's investigate. Settings. Alarm. This is the wrong app. This one. Settings. Okay, so we didn't find correct file and it restored the default. So the backup's working. That's nice. So we're gonna go. So we verified that if we cannot find the correct file, it will restore the default. So that's actually good failure because we know that our backup's working. So let's investigate what happened in here. My output was. Why do I have a? I have a completely different. Why was it February? And for some, did I select not all of the days? Was that a problem? It's today. 8 minutes. 8 minutes from now. That's why. I want this alarm to go off tomorrow. Tomorrow is... Where's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Saturday. That's why I did. Okay, so we know so far that everything is kind of working alright. I'm messing up. Okay, so I've set it up for Saturday, for tomorrow at 9:30, which according to this forecast is it's 28. Yeah, according to this forecast, it should be clear. So I am expecting birds. Oh, this is amusing. Yes, we have birds. Look at that. Now if I'm gonna play settings, default alarm sound. Yes, that's a success. We did it. We did it. And that is how you roll, guys. That is how you roll. All right, so obviously I'm gonna need to streamline the task a little bit, but this is basically how you would do it. So it doesn't work with all the alarm apps, but it works with the Google clock, which is probably the most popular one. So that's definitely a thing. But yeah, and it works well enough to validate that this is a good concept, which means I usually get to this stage where I said, okay, this is working, this is fine. I can start writing about it and then write a little bit more code in Tasker to kind of prettify it, remove stuff I don't need, see what works, figure out how many times I need to call the weather, and etc. etc. So it's that stuff that usually I take to the writing stage and then prettify everything and then I share it. But yeah, I've validated the concept. It works. I run into a couple of issues. I showed you how to overcome, what you can do to go through it. I'm probably gonna Google stuff how to enable that file name better, because I didn't really like the workaround for replacing the ringtone when we were just using a space in here in a file. You remember I did not this one. In here I did a space. I'm sure there is a way we could do it in a different way. So it's stuff like that that I usually just go to Google and Google the additional information which I don't have in my brain, and try to figure out if I can make it a little bit better. But we did this. So if you just look at those spam bots, I should kick them out. Can I kick out people like this? Report. Yes. What is it? Unwanted commercial spam. Oh yes. Next one. Let's go with this one as well. Report the guy. And I feel like a moderator now. Yeah, great. So yeah, if you just joined, I can quickly show you last demonstration once more time. Is that so right now my alarm. If I don't have an alarm, where's my alarm? Alarm clock. Yeah. So right now on 20 at 9 p.m. tomorrow, it's going to be clear, right? But for example, at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, it's going to be cloudy. And my alarm is gonna play a cloudy sound, which is starting with rain and stuff like that. So right now the alarm clock, which is set, the tune of the alarm is set to my nice happy music. Right, it's with birds. Start with birds. And then crosses to music. So when you wake up, you already know what's the weather like is outside for the time you need to wake up. Now, because I've set it on Monday and I check the forecast, I know on Monday it's going to be raining. I have a sound that is making noise, so it's making thunders and everything, and it's going to be rainy. So my alarm clock will start with rain now. So I've run the task at midnight. You'll reset the tunes and make a cloud MP3, which is what I needed for this task. Where's the clock? So if I go to the same clock now, same goes after running the task. Run the timer sound, and now you have rain effect before it starts my alarm. So when I'm waking up, I know that it's raining outside, I should go out and stuff like that. So this way you can actually go through all the weather keys on the open weather API, and you can compose your own ringtones, and then you can have these available on your mobile as you wake up. Like it's an silly concept. I hope you learned a couple of things on how to work with API and how to compose everything together. And yeah, that was pretty much everything I wanted to show you in this task. I do apologize that it was completely unscripted. I did not prepare any of it, so you could kind of see what stuff I struggle with, what stuff I can handle, and stuff like that, and how to troubleshoot or come up with workarounds. I think maybe that was useful for you. But I think in the next session, if I'm gonna do Tasker, it's gonna be prepared. So it's gonna be something I'll practice first, and I'll have it ready, and I'll just kind of whiz through a little bit faster, so you don't feel all bored. Because at the end of the day, we spent 2 sessions. That was 3 hours in total, and that probably feels like a little bit too much to kind of just tune in and watch me suffer. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching today and tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like what you see and you just want to download the ready profile, I'll make it available soon on 9avtech, and you'll have a little bit a better version of this what I've demonstrated today. So next time you wake up to a lovely, lovely sounds in the morning. Right. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.